Braden Smith on the ground. Tennessee comes up with to the corner to Dalton Connect with a hand in his face, nails it for the tie. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Valentine Sports Show. I'm your host, Frank Rampin, and let's dive into another week of the college basketball season. Only 2 more episodes left. Sweet 16 and Elite 8 breakdowns for this one. Unbelievable weekend of college basketball Thursday through Sunday yet again, and now the Final Four is set. So let's dive right into our weekly recap. Great games and finishes, and let's just dive right into it. So this week, we saw Arizona play Clemson. We saw Alabama play UNC. UConn, San Diego State, Illinois, Iowa State, NC State, Marquette, Duke, Houston, Purdue, Gonzaga, and then we move on to the Final Four. Or the Elite Eight, excuse me. So let's dive into our game of the week. Game of the week was between the number 2 ranked Tennessee Volunteers and the number 1 in the Midwest Purdue Boilermakers. This was an unbelievable game, back and forth affair. Let's dive right into it. We'll pick it up here with about 18:45 left here in the second half. Braden Smith dumps one into the post of the big man, Zach Edey. Had an unbelievable day. Floats one over his right shoulder. 40-39 Boilermakers. Lance Jones driving a couple minutes later for the Boilermakers, blocked off the glass. Zakai Zeekler lobs it up to Dalton Connect, and he finishes it with the layup. So 6-point lead for the Boilers. Now lead is 3. Stolen on the inbound pass by Tennessee. Ball trickles to Dalton Connect, driving in, finishes at the cup. 1-point lead, just under 9 minutes to play. Still 1-point lead for the Boilermakers. Let's jump ahead now. After Edey knocks in another one, Purdue up by 3. 7 minutes to go here after a wild scramble. Braden Smith on the ground. Tennessee comes up with to the corner to Dalton Connect with a hand in his face, nails it for the tie. 7 minutes to go, 56-56, and Connect and Edey were throwing haymakers. Into the post to Edey, this time over his left shoulder, gets the roll, puts the Boilers up 58-56. Getting into crunch time, and both of the stars, Edey and Dalton Connect, really took it together. Great feed from Braden Smith here to Edey, slams it down, 3-point lead, under 2 minutes to go here, leads up to 7. Dalton Connect, trying to get things to go, lays it in, gets it down to 7. Desperation time here for Tennessee after a couple more free throws. 5-point lead for Purdue. Connect trying to probe, make something happen, but he's rejected by Edey. And that's pretty much going to do it. 30 seconds left. Purdue corrals it. They hit their free throws. End this one. Unbelievable game in the Elite Eight between these two. Purdue advances to the Final Four. So that was an unbelievable game. Great finishes back and forth from both teams. And I'll get into the heavyweight battle between Edey and Connect a little bit later. But let's go into the bracket breakdown. Sweet 16, we started off with the West region. Clemson was the first game, taking down number 2 Arizona 77-72. Caleb Love could not get going in this one. 0 for 9 from three-point land in this one. Shot horribly, and the rest of the Arizona Wildcats could not recover. First Elite Eight appearance for Clemson since 1980, and the second time in school history. So, throughout the history of college basketball, there's been some spans between Sweet 16 wins, right? So, in the history of the sport, the longest drought between Sweet 16 wins. The longest one ever, Loyola Chicago, 54 years when they broke that back in, 2017 with the Sister Jean run all the way to the Elite Eight. USC, 46 years in between Sweet 16 wins. West Virginia, 45 years. And then Clemson, the 4th longest streak of all time, 43 years, finally coming to an end, 1980 all the way to 2024. Unbelievable for the Tigers, moving to the Elite Eight. Alabama, they took down the number 1 ranked in the South region, UNC Tar Heels, 89-87. Good finish between these two schools. Advanced to the Elite Eight for the second time in school history, Alabama does. First time since 2004. RJ Davis also shot horribly in this one. Pretty similar to Caleb Love. Couldn't get UNC-Arizona matchup like we were all hoping for. You know the backstory between that, Caleb Love, UNC. Caleb Love, RJ Davis both played at UNC, played with each other in the national championship. Coming into last season, well, they were preseason ranked number 1 in the country. Had a falling out in the beginning, in the middle of the season. Caleb Love, it came out that there was an affair going on between RJ Davis's girlfriend and Caleb Love. 2 guys that were very good friends. There was a big rift in between them and the entire team. You could see it diminish their play on the court as well. Struggled mightily. Ended up becoming the first ever number one seed, or preseason ranked number one seed in the poll, to miss the tournament outright. So historic season from last year from Caleb Love and RJ Davis, not in a good way. This year, they were really on a collision course to meet up in the Elite Eight, but both of them end up losing in the Sweet 16. Moving on to the East region, number 1, UConn, they killed number 5, San Diego State in a rematch of last year's national championship game, 82-52. 30-point win. It was a close game at halftime, but then UConn came out absolutely slugging in the second half. A little bit of a theme we've seen in this tournament. Number 3, Illinois gets past number 2, Iowa State. 72-69, 3-point win. But Illinois really controlled this game throughout. Iowa State never really was able to get their footing, get a lead. Kept cutting it down to like 3 points, but they were never able to get that one blow to put them ahead. The Cyclones couldn't. So the Fighting Illini move on to the Elite Eight. The South region, number 11, NC State, the hefty lefty DJ Horn, and the other DJ Horn, taking on, or DJ Burns, and then DJ Horn, take down number 2, Marquette, 67-58. First Elite Eight appearance for the Wolfpack since 1986. They become the fourth 11 seed or worse to make the Elite Eight in the last 4 tournaments. Pretty unbelievable. 4 11 seeds or lower in the Elite Eight. All of them in the same 4 years in a row. NC State controlled this game throughout. The hefty lefty, he's the demon. Number 4, Duke, they asked out a Jamal Shedless. Number 1, Houston, 54-51 in a slugfest defensive battle. Houston, best defense in the country. Jamal Shed, Big 12 Player of the Year, Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, rolls his ankle early on in this ball game in the first half when Houston actually had the lead. Duke took all the momentum as soon as that happened. And, Jamal Shed being out of that game really killed the Cougars. I wish I was able to see that game with Jamal Shed playing throughout, because he was really controlling that entire game for the first 10, 15-ish minutes before he rolled his ankle. Tough to see in that one, but Duke was able to control this one. They advanced to their 24th Elite Eight appearance in school history, and it will be the 3rd most all-time by any program. And now Duke, since seeding began in 1979, have the most wins versus number 1 seeds in NCAA tournament history with 10. They just passed UNC, who previously had 9. Kansas sits at 3rd at 8. Moving on to the Midwest, the final region in this bracket. To wrap up this Sweet 16, number 1, Purdue. They took care of number 5, Gonzaga. 80-68. Purdue pretty much dominated this one. Edey had a great game. 27 points, 14 boards. 6th Elite Eight appearance in Purdue history. Braden Smith had 14 points and 15 assists to go along with 8 rebounds. So a great day by him. Only 2 boards shy of a triple-double. 15 assists, though. Great game. Reminiscent of that game last year by Marquise Noel with Kansas State, where I think he had 19 assists. That was unreal. And in the last 30 NCAA tournaments, the most 20-point, 12-rebound games, number 1, Zach Edey with 5. Blake Griffin and Drew Timme are tied for 2nd with 4. And then Tim Duncan and Joe Smith tied for 3rd with 3. So Zach Edey tops the list. Most 20-point, 12-point rebound games in the last 30 NCAA tournaments. And they move to the Elite Eight. Number 2, Tennessee, they take down number 3, Creighton, 82-75. Tennessee had a 16-point lead after an 18-0 run, with about, 8 minutes to go. But then Creighton went on a 25-16 run to make it close. But Tennessee and Connect were just too much late. And Tennessee makes its 2nd Elite Eight appearance in school history. First one since Bruce Pearl led them there back in 2010. So that'll do it for our Sweet 16. And moving on to the Elite Eight, the championship of all 4 of these regions, starting in the East. So UConn taking on number 3, Illinois. At this point, going to the game, number 1 and number 2 ranked offenses in the country. So close game in the first half. It was 23-23 with 1 minute and 47 seconds left to go in the first half. And then UConn absolutely blew the doors off the Fighting Illini. 30-0 run, starting with 1 minute and 47 seconds left in the first half, all the way to, wow, a little bug on my screen. What is going on here? But all the way until about 10 minutes left, or maybe 12, 14 minutes left to go in the second half. 30-0 run. They call it 10-0 run, a kill shot, a triple kill shot. I've never seen anything like it before in my entire life of watching college basketball. Just spit all over my keyboard because I'm out of this world excited because of that. Unbelievable. Second straight Final Four for the UConn men for the first time in school history. The women do that all the time. They've actually made 15 of 16 now because both the UConn men and women made the Final Four. 10 straight tournament wins by 13 plus points, longest streak in NCAA tournament history, and they're the first defending champion to reach the Final Four since 2007 Florida when they went back to back. Fourth school with 2 wins of 25 plus points in the Elite Eight. They beat Gonzaga by 28 last year in 2023, and this UConn team looks unbelievable. So we actually have, let's get going here, sorry. West Region, Alabama, Clemson, 89-82, number 4 Alabama taking down the Tigers. Alabama came out in the second half and absolutely shot the lights out of the arena. Mark Sears had an unbelievable second half to give them their first Final Four appearance in school history. And they're the second ever SEC school to win the West Region following 1997 Kentucky. The Wildcats did it back then. The Midwest region, this was our game of the week. Number 1 Purdue took down number 2 Tennessee, 72-66. Unreal game. Edey versus Connect lived up to the hype. The first Final Four since 1980 for Purdue, their third appearance. Edey had 40 points and 16 rebounds in this game. The rest of the team had 32. He had 40 of the 72 points the Boilermakers scored in this one. Unbelievable, and he had 16 rebounds. First player with multiple games of 30 points and 15 rebounds in a single tournament since 1977. First player to have 40-plus points and 15-plus rebounds since 1990. That was Bo Kimble. He's the first player to have 40 points, 15 rebounds in an Elite Eight game or later since Bill Bradley for Princeton back in 1965. And players to average 30 points per game and 15 rebounds per game in their first 4 games in the NCAA tournament in the last 70 years. Here are the names. First one, Wilt Chamberlain did it back in 1957 for Kansas. Jerry West did it back in 1959 for West Virginia. Elvin Hayes did it back in 1968 for Houston. And then 2024, Zach Edey does it for Purdue. Only 4 players in the last 70 years to average 30 points per game and 15 boards per game in their first 4 NCAA tournaments. Unbelievable, unprecedented categories for Zach Edey. But those 3 guys, like I mentioned, right? Only 3 guys ever before Edey to do this. Wilt Chamberlain lost in the national championship game. Jerry West lost in the national championship game. And Elvin Hayes lost in the Final Four. So Zach Edey trying to become the first player in this group to win the national championship in this historic year with averaging 30 points and 15 boards through 4 NCAA tournament games. But on the other side, Dalton Knecht had an unbelievable game himself. 37 points. The rest of the team had 29. So both of these guys, it lived up to it was Edey versus Knecht. For a good portion in the second half, it was literally just like, all right, Edey's going to back somebody down, make a sky hook or baby hook. And then Knecht going down, he's going to either take you to the cup, pull up in your face from mid-range, or drain a 3. It was unbelievable. And Dalton Knecht, he can score at all 3 levels. It's unbelievable to watch him play. That was a great game. Tennessee, 28 NCAA tournament wins for them. That's the second most by any team without a Final Four appearance, only behind 30 Xavier. They have 30 wins without making the Final Four. So Tennessee, been really good in the NCAA tournament, but unable to get to the Final Four. Knecht, 37. The rest of the team just couldn't help him out. And to wrap it up, the final game of the Final Four. Easter Sunday night. Number 11, NC State, keeps their miraculous run alive and takes down the number 4 Duke Blue Devils, 76-64. NC State really controlled this entire game. Their first Final Four appearance since 1983, back with Jimmy V and the Cardiac Pack. Their 4th ever appearance, and they tie the lowest seed ever to reach the Final Four since seeding began in 1979 as an 11 seed. Unbelievable. They're the 7th ever double-digit seed to reach the Final Four. And it was the first ever matchup between an 11 and a 4 seed in an NCAA tournament game. Pretty interesting. First time the NCAA tournament saw a matchup between Duke and NC State in the 257th all-time meeting between the 2 programs. DJ Burns, the hefty lefty, my guy, finishes with 29 on 13 of 19 shooting and 4 boards. He is the South Region most outstanding player. He was unbelievable throughout this miraculous run. The Wolfpack have 9 wins in a row. 9 wins in a row after a 4-game losing streak to enter the ACC tournament. They entered the ACC tournament as a 10 seed. They had to win the thing outright just to make the tournament. They do that off of a miraculous run, One of them included a Michael O'Connell banked in toilet bowl 3 at the buzzer to send a game to overtime to outlast Virginia. They take down Duke. They take down UNC. They win the ACC. They come into the tournament, and they just they steamroll everybody. Go all the way into the Final Four. Fourth ever 1 seed to make, or for 11 seed to make the Final Four. And they have the most ever regular season losses by a team to make the Final Four. They have 14 losses on the season. 14 losses, the most by any team ever to make the Final Four. That surpasses 2016 Syracuse, 2000 UNC, and 2000 Wisconsin, who all had 13. And keep in mind, all those other 3 teams, they lost their Final Four matchup. So a team of this stature never made the actual national championship game. The Hefty Lefty and the Wolfpack have a chance. So, like I mentioned, 9 straight wins after entering the ACC tournament on a 4-game losing streak. And is this the second coming of Jimmy V's cardiac pack? Listen to these comparisons, these similarities between these 2 teams. The 1983 NC State National Championship team, their regular season record was 17-10. They went 8-6 in the ACC. They needed to win the ACC tournament just to make the NCAA tournament. They entered the tournament as a 6 seed and won it. They won their final 10 games, 6 of those in the NCAA tournament, and they took down Houston to win it. The 2024 NC State Wolfpack, this Final Four team, 17-14 in the regular season, 9-11 in the ACC. Needed to win the ACC tournament just to make the NCAA tournament. They do that. Entered the ACC tournament as a 10 seed and win it. And they have a 9-game winning streak heading into the Final Four. So that's almost identical. Just a couple of differences between them. What is going on with this bug? What is going on? But this could be the second coming of the cardiac pack. They make it all the way from not even going to make the tournament, winning the ACC as a 10 seed, going from Tuesday to Saturday. Unprecedented run for them even there. They keep it going with 4 more wins in the NCAA tournament, and they find themselves with a matchup with Purdue going into the Final Four next week. It's going to be unbelievable. Can't wait to watch these games. UConn versus Alabama, and then Purdue versus NC State. Going to be unbelievable, but I am going to have to take the 2-1 seeds. I'm sorry. I think UConn has just been so good, dominant, beating everyone by almost 30 points. And I don't know how NC State's really going to control Edey. Sure, the Hefty Lefty's been unbelievable. He's about 6'9", 6'10". Zach Edey's 7'4". Sure, he's got the best feet in the tournament. He does, but I don't know if those feet are going to be able to get the ball over Edey's head. I just don't know. So I'm going to take Purdue and UConn, and I'm going to take the boys from back home in Storrs, Connecticut, the basketball capital of the world, to bring home championship number 6. And that's going to do it for this second to last episode, Final Four preview, Sweet 16 Elite 8 breakdown of college basketball. We're going to be getting into a baseball episode soon because, baseball has started up now. But after the Final Four and the national championship game, we'll be back for the final college basketball episode. Hope you guys have enjoyed throughout this whole season, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.